You might know or you might not. But I got diagnosed with fibromyalgia recently. And I've been suffering with it probably for the last 6 years. On a low level, so to speak. And it's taken quite a while to sort of come to the conclusion that's what it is now. And I've had lots of tests, loads of tests, scans and this, that, and the other. And if anyone's watched my earlier videos, my older videos, my voice was quite high. And it's now I've got a very limited vocal range now because the thyroid has damaged my vocal cords, or something's gone on there anyway. Although I've had scans of them, they said it's okay, but through a matter of elimination, I decided that I have. They've diagnosed me with fibromyalgia. So yeah, that's what it is, fibromyalgia. Which does feel a little bit like, okay, it's like last chance saloon. There's none of this other stuff, so it must be that. There's no clear diagnosis for it. But I'm so pleased that I'm here in France, because I know for a fact I'd be waiting a long time for any real clear diagnosis in the UK. The wait, how long it takes just to get tested and stuff in the UK, and then seeing the consultants and looking at the results. Whereas here, you go and get a scan, you come out in 30 minutes with the results. If I get a prescription for a scan with the doctor here, well then next week I can go and have my scan, sometimes the same week, and come out with the results. It's considerably better, We're talking about chalk and cheese here, here in France, regarding the healthcare. And it's not because the NHS, I'm getting a lot of grief at the moment, which I don't necessarily agree with, because it's general individuals, like for instance, those who are poisoned with infected blood and what have you. That isn't the NHS. There's individuals in the NHS, like the corporate structure of it. Even it's not necessarily a corporation, it's not a limited or public company, is it? Although parts of it is. There are individuals there that really ought to go to jail, quite frankly. But the NHS itself, I think, once you actually get in the door, the people working there are fantastic. They do a really good job. It's not the NHS. It's not. It's certain individuals in the NHS who are supposed to make the whole thing work and run smoothly, cocked up, infected blood. How many people got hepatitis and all that, and then got AIDS and all that, and then in those days, when it was like homosexuality is much more frowned upon than it is these days. It's more accepted these days, isn't it? And so it should be. And then people contracting these diseases, and then they get labelled. Well, the only way you get that is because same sex and all that. Can you imagine we're going through that? The bullying and the finger pointing and what have you. If you've been diagnosed with a condition that has been associated with homosexual sex, if you're a straight person, that is. Especially then. It is definitely more acceptable these days, isn't it? And so, like I say, so it should be. People find love in all sorts of things. In some states, was it one state in the US? One guy's married his horse. A poor horse. I don't know, he might like it, I don't know. But, I thought there was a documentary about that a while back, actually. It must have been 10, 15 years ago I watched that. That was bizarre. Some man living with his animals. He seriously loved his animals. Oh, God. Takes all sorts, I suppose. I'm not trying to make the association there, obviously, because that would be a bit weird and offensive, actually, comes to that. But anyway, my point was, how do I dig myself out of that hole? Blimey. Anyway, I just been to the pharmacy after I just been to my doctor to pick up my medications. Allow me to show you my medication bag. Alright, how can I open this up so you can see it? Right. Can you see that? Put a bit on there? Okay, some of that is for the missus because she's got GERD. So all these big boxes with the Gaviscon and stuff, and she's got her esomeprazole and something else for the stomach. Just those operations and stuff. But I've got a shitload of things like anti-inflammatory and all that, you know, for the thyroid as well. Loads of painkillers, tramadol, and 1,000 milligram doliprane, which is basically paracetamol. More, oh crikey, what else have I got here? More antilox. Oh, and some prednisolone. A few boxes of prednisolone. Oh, it's just loads of them and stuff. But what if I was in the UK and having to pay for all that? I know in Scotland now, I think prescriptions are free in Scotland, aren't they? But if I had to pay for that blooming lot, and there's like one prescription per item, isn't it, or something like that in the UK? I flip it out. I'll be paying like 200 quid. For some prescriptions, it'd be cheaper to buy the stuff. Yeah, because these, like for instance, from the missus, with this Gaviscon and stuff, that's actually quite cheap to buy. That's not expensive at all. For me, probably the most expensive stuff is going to be the Antilox. That stuff's a bit pricey. The Leverox and the prednisolone is cheap. Doliprane's obviously cheap. Tramadol isn't that very expensive either. It's cheap. So if you're in the UK, okay, that's quite expensive. That's for the asthma. Oh fuck! Oh, I'm buggered. I said a swear word. Oh dear, naughty me. Oh dear. Oh, anyway, the whole point is, you know, if they can do it here in France, why can't we do it in the UK? I know what you're going to say. Well, it's not free at point of. So, well, kind of, it's a similar sort of system. You're paying into the system in the UK unless you've got nothing whatsoever. But even here in France, if, for instance, you're on, oh, I don't know, there's that thing called CMU, complementaire, you basically get all your healthcare paid. So it's just basically the same as it is in the UK. The only difference is if you're a foreigner. That changes, obviously. Well, that hasn't really changed, actually, to be honest, for the UK, because obviously you've got your GIA card now, haven't you? But that still gives you 2/3 of your medications and treatment paid for. But if you go to the doctor, you'll still have to pay for your doctor and you have to claim that back. If you go to the hospital, major treatment, like for instance an accident or something like that, you probably wouldn't have to worry. They'll all get sorted out electronically. But you must make sure, if you're coming to France or Spain, pretty much any EU country with your GIA card, don't rely on just that GIA card. You mustn't. You need to make sure you can get yourself some health insurance, your travel insurance, to make sure you're covered, and for repatriation as well. Seriously, honestly, so you can claim back anything, because it can get very expensive. Although I have to admit, we get to see all the costs, everything gets sent to us in a statement at the end of the year. Whether it be my hospital costs or whether it be the treatments, the medications and stuff like that, it's all done, it's all put onto a big statement. So you can get to see what's been paid on your behalf. And when I had my carpal tunnel syndrome, surgery on both my hands, I was shocked how cheap that was. It was about €1,100 for both hands. It was ridiculously cheap. So I wouldn't even complain at that if I had to pay it. To be honest, I can't afford to, but I can't argue that it's good value. Because in the UK, if you have to go and have to pay for it in the UK, you'll be looking at like $3,000. So it's considerable difference. But yeah, so I do feel fortunate in that way, and I'm lucky. Even though I've got health problems, at least I'm in the right place. And if anyone gets maybe you've got fibromyalgia or something, you can probably relate to what I'm on about. It's a strange condition. You've got pain for something that isn't really there. It's almost like a phantom pain, Or if you've got any pain whatsoever in the body, it's like it's amplified because of fibromyalgia. Like yesterday I woke up and I had horrendous tenderness on the side. You just touch it, blooming hell, what's going on there? Like you've been in a boxing match with Muhammad Ali. He's been punching in the kidneys, but it's all on the surface, and you feel it might have you, and you think, oh my God, what's going on? But that's the fibromyalgia. And then tomorrow it'll be in a different place. Sometimes it's in my arms, sometimes my legs, sometimes my feet. Usually in the bigger muscle groups. I suffer a bit of brain fog with it as well. So the whole thing is a little bit shit, really. And it makes you, makes it so you get anxiety because of it. And I suppose a lot of that's going to be stress related, I suppose. But you do get anxiety with it. So what I suppose we've got to be careful of. When we point the finger at people in their cars with their badges in for their disability badges, and they get out and they walk to the supermarket or something stupid. Okay, some of those people might be just they've got badge because they've got a family member that has it, but they shouldn't be using it for themselves anyway. They're not supposed to. But we don't know if they are the person. Something like fibromyalgia, you don't suffer with it all the time. Most of the time you do. It's always there at some level, but you have like flare-ups. And I've had this for about 6 years now. Like I say, on a lower level, but in the early days, and it's kind of progressed. It's bit by bit by bit. It's got a little bit worse, a little bit worse, a little bit worse. Back towards the doctor, back towards the doctor. I would scan you for this or scan you for that, And I took 6 years, but it's not because of the treatment. It's because I haven't gone to see them. I just put up with it. And when you start kind of like putting two and two together, you get to understand and realise what the problem is and what what is actually going on. And you kind of realise that shit. This is a blooming nuisance. I have to work. You see, I have to work. I have to earn money. So it's a blooming nuisance. So you can't really get on very easily. So you struggle with that. And it's silly things that I have trouble with. Just holding. If I'm vlogging and I'm holding the camera up like that, I'll get pain, shooting pain up my arm, over my shoulder, and down my back. And I suppose that muscle group, isn't it? So it shouldn't do. I'm quite a strong guy. I'm just like everything else is falling apart around me. And I'm getting fatter and fatter and fatter, which probably the steroids don't help, do it? I need some anabolic steroids. That's what I want. Apparently you can get one injection in your bum, can't you? An anabolic steroid injection in the bottom. Anyway, I ain't got the dogs with me, so I suppose I better get back to them, and see how they are. Tucked up, I hope, in their baskets, being good boys and girls. Anyway, it's time for me to go, so I can say toodaloo, And that wasn't a win, it's just kind of, I just want to make some comparisons. I'm just really impressed, and I've got no complaints. Really haven't. Anyway, click the like button, maybe subscribe to the channel, and then maybe the bell icons, and you get one fancy in your pocket every time I upload another video. Maybe. Might tickle your fancy.